Hello, thanks for joining me today. In this edition of our e-learning and online classes, I'm going to be showing you a couple of basic salads, two which are very famous if you're into food like I am, though I don't look it. These two salads are fairly famous. One is called a Niçoise salad, which is a French tuna salad from the Nice region. And the other one is the classic, probably the most famous salad on earth, is the Caesar salad. So what we're going to do first is start with our Niçoise salad. The Niçoise salad, we're going to start with our dressing. I like to use two different types of Dijon mustard. There's one here, which is called Pommery mustard. And this particular one is, it has the mustard seeds still in it. So it's not as sharp or mustardy or spicy as Dijon, but it still has a very nice, rich sort of mustardy taste. And then, of course, I'm going to use a little bit of regular Dijon mustard to add a little bit of extra oomph to our salad dressing. The other thing I want to put in my salad dressing is some lemon, some garlic, some parsley, some oil, vegetable oil, and I've got here a little bit of champagne vinegar. You could also use white wine vinegar if you want. I like champagne vinegar. It just has a nice sort of fruity taste to it. It's slightly more mellow than traditional vinegar. Okay. And the other thing I need is a mixing bowl. So I'm going to take a little bit of my grainy Dijon or my Pommery mustard, just about 10 or 15 grams, and I'm going to put that into my mixing bowl. I'm going to take a little bit of Dijon mustard, about 30 grams. That's going to go into my mixing bowl. Then I want to take a little bit of lemon juice. And I'm just going to squeeze this in. You can use a strainer if you'd like, but I just catch the seeds in my hand, of course, except for that one that just fell in. Make sure you get them out because you don't want somebody biting into a lemon seed or something when they're trying to have a salad, because it can be quite an unexpected and unpleasant surprise. Okay. So I've got some fresh lemon in there. I'm going to add about 30 grams of white wine vinegar or champagne vinegar. And then I'm going to add about 3 times that amount, so roughly 90 grams of vegetable oil. I like to use grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is great for making salad dressings because it has a very neutral flavor. So it's great for cooking, it's great for making salad dressings. If you want something with a slightly stronger taste, then you could mix it with extra virgin olive oil if you want. But I like to use just a grapeseed oil because I want the flavor of the lemon and the Dijon to really come through. So I'm going to add in about 90 grams, basically a ratio of 3 parts oil to 1 part acid, and the acid being our vinegar and our lemon juice. I'm also going to season this with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I'm going to take a little bit of garlic, just trim off the ends here. And I'll just give that a little crush. And then we're just going to chop this up very finely. And add this into our salad dressing. Again, everybody's different. Some people like larger pieces of garlic. But usually when you're dealing with raw garlic, as we are here, it's good not to have any large pieces because it is extremely sharp in taste. And so again, like the lemon seeds, that can be a fairly unpleasant surprise, right? So once you've got that nicely chopped up, we'll add that into our bowl. I'm also going to take a little bit of anchovy. Okay, and I'm going to also chop this up very finely. The anchovy adds a saltiness and also a sort of depth of flavor, sort of an umami type of flavor. to our dressing. So I'm going to take a whisk and just whisk this together. And this will sort of temporarily emulsify, which means that the oil and vinegar and acid will sort of bind, but it won't stay emulsified like a mayonnaise would. It will eventually split. And so you can see there we've got this nice sort of creamy Dijon dressing. And of course, you should taste it. I'm going to add a little bit more oil because it's a little sharp. But keep in mind with salad dressings that once you mix it with all your ingredients, the flavor of that dressing will become much, much less, right? So you want it to be a little stronger, a little more powerful than you think you need it, because it will become much, much less potent after you've mixed it with all these ingredients. So once my my Dijon dressing is mixed, I'm just going to put this in the fridge. Okay, so my salad dressing, my Dijon dressing is in the fridge. I'm just giving it some time for the flavors to kind of develop and for the dressing to become a little more rich. While that's resting, or while that's sitting, I want to start getting my other ingredients ready. So I've got some nice little baby potatoes here, okay, and these come in different colors and sizes and stuff like that. I like these ones particularly for salads because they have a nice starchy body. They don't have too much water in them. Something like a russet potato is fairly watery. Would not be great for this type of salad. So what I want to do is in some salted boiling water, I'm just going to drop some potatoes. And I'm going to cook those for about 10 to 12 minutes. Again, it really depends on size. Students always ask, how long does this take to cook? How long does that take to cook? Unfortunately, cooking isn't always about time. Time is a bit of a reference. It doesn't mean that every time it's going to be the same, right? So keep that in mind, please. The other thing I want to do is I want to start cooking some eggs. And so the eggs, I've got also some boiling salted water here. And I want to put the eggs into the salted boiling water, and I'm going to cook them for exactly 6.5 minutes. So I'm going to drop these into my water. Okay, so as I said, my dressing is in the fridge. It's just relaxing. It's getting all the flavors together. I've got my eggs cooking. They're almost done. They've all probably got about another minute or minute and a half to go. I've got my baby potatoes cooking. I've got some salted boiling water here. And it's really important to make sure that this water is really, really boiling heavily because once you add your ingredients, it'll drop the temperature. So we don't want it to drop too much. So I'm going to take my green beans. I'm just going to drop those straight into my boiling water. Now I'll give it a bit of a stir here. And so that lowers the temperature quite a bit right off the bat. So while that's blanching, while my potatoes are cooking, and while my eggs are cooking, I want to start to get together the rest of the ingredients for my salad. So here I've got some frisee, I've got some iceberg lettuce, and I've got some green leaf lettuce. Okay, and you can use any kind of lettuce you'd like. If you want to add some radicchio or some red oak or Lola Rosa for color, that's fine. Use whatever you have available. So I'm just going to tear some of the salad up and just put it into a bowl, very easy. I also want to add in some nice little tomatoes here. And again, you can use whatever tomatoes you'd like. If you have some nice Roma tomatoes or beefsteak tomatoes, it really depends on what you have around. Okay? So that's going to go in. I've also got some olives here. And normally this recipe or a niçoise salad would use black olives. But the black olives that we normally get are fairly bland. They're usually fairly bland in flavor, and they're not so great. The green olives I can get, though, are much nicer, so I decided to use green olives instead. So I'm just going to slice those up, put those in there. My baby potatoes, which I cooked before, I'm going to take a few of these. And I'm just going to cut them into bite-sized pieces, not too big and not too small. And you want to make sure these are nice and cool before you put them into the salad. So now you can see my green beans. They've got a really nice, vibrant green color, okay, and they won't change from this color. And that's because I blanched them and then shocked them in ice water. So that stops the cooking process and keeps the color extremely nice and green. So what I want to do now is just line them all up with the root end. So I've got all the root ends here, and I'm just going to use my knife to get them all even, and then just trim away that little bit of the root there, which I don't need. And then I'm just going to slice them into nice bite-sized pieces again. And these are also going to go into my salad. Then I've got some tuna, which is going to go in here. Almost there. A little bit more dressing. It's also very, very important not to mix the dressing with the salad too soon. Timing in cooking in general, whether it's making a salad or cooking a piece of chicken, timing is incredibly important to make sure that ingredients are ready at the same time, or make sure that the product is as fresh as possible for the customer. So that's dressed up nicely. So I'm just going to start to take my greens and my mixture here and start to place it into my salad bowl. And the niçoise salad is a fairly popular salad with people because it's got a lot of different components. It's got a lot of vegetables in it, like the potatoes and tomatoes and green beans. And it's also got tuna, and so obviously tuna is a fairly healthy product for you. And then to finish it off, I'm going to take a nice egg here, and you can see there that it's still very, very soft in the middle, and that's because I've been able to control the cooking process, cooking it for an exact period of time at an exact temperature, roughly at an exactly temperature of 100 degrees, right, which is boiling water. And then once it hits that mark of 6.5 minutes, I stop the cooking. So I know that my egg will be roughly fairly runny in the middle still. If I cook it for 7 minutes, it'll be slightly firmer, all the way up to about 10 minutes, which is when it'll be hard-boiled all the way through. So I've got this nice soft-boiled egg here, which I'm just going to put on top, okay? And there you have a very simple, very nice, classic French niçoise salad. Okay, so we just finished up our niçoise salad, right? Now we're going to move on to our second salad, which is the very classic, very, very famous Caesar salad. So obviously, that one we use romaine lettuce for. So before I get into the romaine lettuce, I want to get my dressing made. So I want to take a couple eggs, and I just need the egg yolks. So essentially, Caesar salad dressing is sort of a mayonnaise-based dressing. We're essentially going to make a mayonnaise by adding some acid to some egg yolks and then starting to whisk in some oil and make an emulsification. So I've got a couple egg yolks here, and again, I just want to put a little bit of lemon juice in there. Again, making sure I don't get any seeds in there. All right. I'm also going to put a little bit of Dijon mustard again, about 10 grams or so. I also want to take a little bit of garlic, a couple cloves. And then again, just give them a little crush there. And start to just chop these up. So once that's finely chopped, that can go into our bowl. I'm also going to put in a little bit of red wine vinegar, just about 15 grams or so, which is about a tablespoon. I also have a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, okay? And I'll put just a few drops of that in there. I have here capers, which come in two varieties. One is in brine, like this one, and another variety that's salt packed. So I'm going to take a few of these. I also want to take a little bit of the juice and just drop a little bit of the juice in there, because that's going to help add a little bit of saltiness and body to our dressing. So I'm going to take some capers out. And I also want a little bit of anchovy. And we're going to take a little bit of anchovy out here. And we'll put that right in with our capers. And then we'll just start to chop all this up together. Okay, and once this is nice and chopped up, I'll add this to my bowl. So I've got a nice little device here called a microplaner, which was originally a woodworking tool used for grinding down tables and chairs and edges. And then chefs started using it about 15 years ago, and now I think more chefs use it than woodworkers. So I want to take a little bit of Parmesan cheese and just shred this very finely into my dressing. And then I've got some vegetable oil again, and a whisk. So what I want to do is just start to mix together those egg yolks with my Worcestershire sauce, my red wine vinegar, my lemon juice, my Dijon. And I'm going to put in a little bit of oil and mix that in, and then a little bit more and mix this in. And this is the basic principle of how we make a mayonnaise, okay, or an emulsification. Okay, so I've got my Caesar dressing nice and chilled now and it's thickened up a little bit more. Okay, you can see it's definitely thicker than it was. But again, keep in mind that this is a salad dressing and not a mayonnaise, okay? And as such, it should be a consistency similar to that of a dressing. So I've got some romaine lettuce here, which I've cleaned already and trimmed. I've also got some Parmesan cheese, I've got some croutons, and I've just got some cooked bacon here, bacon bits, okay? So when you're cutting romaine lettuce, try to keep in mind that when you're eating this, I always try to envision a lady eating a salad, and they don't really particularly want to have gigantic pieces of lettuce because it's very hard to open your mouth super wide to chomp down on a piece of lettuce. So if you have any really big pieces, just try to cut them a little bit so that they're a little bit more manageable to eat and they're not super, super big. So then I'm going to cut this into nice bite-sized pieces. And that's going to go into my bowl here. Okay. I'm going to add some croutons, and I'll keep a few for on top. I'm going to add some bacon bits, again keeping a few for on top. I'm going to put in a bit more Parmesan cheese. I'm going to grab a set of tongs. Put in a bit of Caesar salad dressing. And again, you want to make sure that this is dressed enough to make it taste good and to be appetizing, but don't make it so much salad dressing that all you have is the taste of Caesar salad dressing in your mouth, because then it becomes overwhelming and hard to eat. So I'm just going to grab some tongs. Here we go. So I got a pair of tongs here. I've got a nice simple salad bowl here, and I'm just going to lightly toss this again. And as I mentioned before with the niçoise salad, when you are making any kind of salads, you want to dress it as soon or as close to being served as possible. And I can already tell that I'm going to need a bit more dressing in here. So basically most and all salad dressings have acid in them, whether it's lemon juice, vinegar, whatever it may be. And once you mix the salad leaves, like lettuce, whether it's romaine, iceberg lettuce, frisee, green leaf, Lola Rosa, it doesn't matter. Once you mix it with the dressing, the acid starts to essentially cook the lettuce, and it starts to make the lettuce extremely soggy. So for that reason, you want to mix the lettuce or the salad with the dressing as close to service as possible so that it still has some structure and some texture to it instead of being a soggy pile of salad greens. So I'm going to put my romaine into a bowl here, my dressed salad, all in there. I'm going to put a few more croutons around, a little bit more bacon, and then a bit more freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Okay, and there you go. Very, very classic Caesar salad, all handmade.